Hello, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Nasdaq Advisory Live, powered by Nasdaq IR Insight. I'm your host, Lori Coulombe, and joining me today is Mike Kratky. Mike covers the healthcare sector for our Nasdaq Advisory Services team. Welcome back, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Lori.
So, let's get started. So there's lots going on in the healthcare sector right now. Can you share any updates?
Sure. So it's been an exciting time for the healthcare space over the past few weeks, and as you mentioned, there's been a lot going on in terms of news flow. The first thing I would mention is that there's been some notable data readouts in the last few days. So just yesterday, the FDA approved the second gene-altering treatment for cancer by way of a drug by Kite Pharma, which, as you may remember, was acquired by Gilead Sciences for nearly $12 billion in cash in a deal that closed earlier this month. The treatment manipulates the patient's own cells so that it becomes a living drug, which attacks the cancer cells in a developing but really exciting new wave of immunotherapy companies. Aside from that, Spectrum Pharmaceuticals, a mid-cap biotech company focused on hematology and oncology, announced positive data for anti-tumor activity, and the stock was up nearly 36% just yesterday. So needless to say, these types of strong data readouts are very positive for the sector and validate the science at the heart of these companies, which is going to drive fundamentals.
Great. Okay. There's also been some notable comments in the area of drug pricing. So what are the key takeaways from those?
Right. So as you alluded to, President Trump criticized drug makers for the high cost of medicines and reiterated his intention to get the cost of prescription drugs way down. So President Trump was quoted saying that drug prices are out of control, which resulted in a modest pullback across the space. So drug pricing issues have largely flown under the radar this year, as the administration has been more focused on the repeal and replacement of Obamacare and tax reform. But that could certainly change if these types of comments continue. So it's unclear if Trump's criticism of the drug industry signals any upcoming action. He's repeatedly lashed out at drug makers, especially during his campaign, but there's been very little indication that he's really going to crack down on drug prices. My take is that any type of real development here would kind of be a longer term action, but it's certainly something that we're going to be keeping an eye on.
Definitely. So last question for today. I know that many big investors are focused on the impact of all of the recent hurricanes. So do you see there being a read-through for the healthcare sector?
That's a great question. So the recent hurricanes that have devastated parts of Puerto Rico, Texas, and Florida could have some modest impact on the demand for certain drugs. Additionally, several major pharma and biotech companies have manufacturing facilities in Puerto Rico. That said, the consensus seems to be that there should be relatively minimal impact in terms of disruptions in the supply chain, but with 3Q earnings season on the horizon, that's certainly something that we're going to be keeping an eye on.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being on today. Your insights are always really helpful for everyone, and we look forward to having you back on again soon. Thank you all for tuning in today to Nasdaq Advisory Live, powered by Nasdaq IR Insight. You can follow us on Twitter at MyCorpSolutions or learn more about the Nasdaq Advisory team by going to our website at business.nasdaq.com. Thanks again, and have a great day.